Awesome. Okie dokes. I think our room is empty, which is great. Okay, so we will get started. Do. Okay, so first off, we'll start with a quick introduction. I will go over some dates, changes, kind of review the application process, and like I said, at the end, we'll do some questions. My name is Adam Sanchez Gray. I'm the Assistant Director for Housing Operations here at FIT Residential Life. Um, and I am joined by a couple of my staff members who you may see on the call as well. But this is our office, so if you call or email us, one of these folks will be the one to reply to you. So as you can see, there's Angela Brown, our Director of Residential Life, Ashley Wolf, our Associate Director, myself, and then Destiny, John, and Richard, who I don't think are on this call, but you can always email or contact if you have any questions. And then as well as our administrative staff and our residential education staff, which is listed down here, and they oversee each of our buildings on campus. So that is our small but mighty office. Some key dates. So this session is going to be for both our returning and our new students. So I'll kind of differentiate when it's just a new student thing or just a returning, so that way you're not getting overloaded with information. But we'll start with kind of some of the big dates in the process and then work our way down to each of the individuals. So first we'll start with May 27th, which is exactly 20 days away. Our housing application will open on the housing portal. And again, I'll show you where to find that in a few minutes. June 10th is our returning student housing application deadline. So if you're a returning student, June 10 is your deadline to get everything in for us. And then on the 11th, we will release your selection numbers and your selection time spot, so you'll know what day and time you're picking your room. On the 14th is our new student deadline. So you get a couple extra days to get your materials in. And then we have about a week where we kind of pause everything and we do some behind the scenes work. And then June 22nd is when we really start to ramp up. And that's when we do day one of our returning selection. Um, that generally goes about 2 days. So you'll see June 22nd, June 23rd is both returner days. On the 24th is all about our new students. So we will release all of the housing assignments for our new folks. And then you should see housing bills start to appear right around July 6th. Those correspond with your tuition bills. So it all comes as one lump sum from the bursar's office. So then July is kind of a low key month, and then August we start kind of ramping up again. And August 1st, you should really be registered for 12 credits. If you're below 12, we'll start reaching out and kind of seeing what's going on. We know students are still finalizing housing or still finalizing classes at that point, so not a huge deal, but we just like to make sure that, anybody who has 0 credits is still coming and still attending to take classes for the fall. And then we go into move-in weekends. So August 22nd, 23rd for our new folks, and then August 29th and 30th for our returning folks. And again, I'll show you where to find your room numbers actually correspond to the date and time you move in. So I'll show you where you can find that information. It's already listed on the website. So if there's a certain day or time, you can actually pick like the floor that you want that would correspond with that time in advance. Next, the two big changes that we have for this year, housing overflow, which is for our returning folks, and then the application fee, which will impact both our new and our returning students. So everyone is impacted by the new application fee changes. So let's jump into those. We'll go with the application fee first, since this is for everyone. So for anyone who is a returner, you'll notice in the years past we did a housing deposit. We moved away from that for this year. So we've reduced the amount of the upfront cost, which used to be 500, now it's 250. So on the 27th, you will now go ahead and when you first open up the application, it's going to ask you to pay that 250 application fee. You can pay it via any credit card or debit card that you have. Very similar to the way the admissions deposit works. So if anybody paid that admissions deposit recently, it'll be almost identical process for you. And then once you pay that application fee, it'll open up your applications for the entire 26-27 year. So academic, summer, winter, all those applications will become available to you once you pay that fee. And it's only a one time, so you don't have to pay it per application. It's just once per year. And that is kind of one of the bigger changes for the application fee process. This should be linked hopefully in all of your guides. So if you want to read it in full, feel free. I'm not going to spend too much time because we have a lot, and I'm sure you want to see the application more than anything. So we'll jump into overflow housing. This is just for our returning folks. So if you're new, just sit tight for a minute while I kind of go through this. Um, but overflow housing is our new kind of addition to our wait list. So anybody who's been with us knows that sometimes our returning folks had kind of a lengthy wait list, especially in June, July. Our goal is to reduce and kind of dwindle that down to almost having no wait list for the month of July. And the way that we're going to do that is potentially do some temporary triples. So these rooms that you're seeing here listed out are the rooms we've identified. Basically, square footage wise, these are really large double rooms, so they can accommodate a third person without too much impact on the two occupants in there. We don't want to make them pure triples because we know students don't love triples as much as doubles, so we're not making them permanent triples all year, although they very well could have been. But basically, um, you know, we will go through the summer. You'll select these rooms. They'll be double rooms. If we need that room to be a triple during any part of the fall semester, so like let's say we got a couple extra folks we need to place, we'll let you know on August 13th if we're gonna have to place a third roommate in that on a temporary basis. Um, we don't expect or anticipate to open with any temporary triples. We really think that we can get most people into their rooms, their doubles, or whatever room they pick. This is just kind of a backup plan in case we need to pull some more beds out of basically thin air. So if you have any questions, feel free to read it. If we do by chance have a lot of temporary triples and we keep them up until the first 2 weeks of school, we will offer some discounts for that. So, we'll offer like we'll offer down to triple rates for folks, and we'll kind of do the discounts for days that you lived in a triple. So, again, feel free to read through it in full. It kind of explains all the different options. If this is not something that you want to partake in, just don't pick one of these rooms during selection, and we won't, temporary triple your room. Like I said, these are pretty big doubles, so I think that's one of the things that it's kind of a gamble of do you want a really big double, or do you potentially just want like a normal size double and not having a potential third roommate for a while. So that is how we kind of picked those rooms and got to this process. So again, um, two other things. Hopefully, you all have access to this. We've sent down a couple emails, but we do publish guides for folks. So we have our new student housing guide and our returning guide. I will link these in the chat in a little bit. So if you don't have it, you can get it, but it should be available to anyone who has the link. And it kind of walks through everything that I have told you in the last like few minutes, including a bunch more information about room options, genders, so forth, so on. So this is a really good place to look if you are, having any questions about how this whole process will work and what it means. So, okie dokes, let's get into what I'm sure everybody is curious about. So the housing application itself. You will go into your My FIT and then you'll click on the housing card and it'll bring you right into here. If you're a first year and you don't see the housing card yet, it's probably because your admissions deposit was just recently paid, and sometimes it takes a couple of days for the system to create you that card. So just be patient. It normally is with like a 24, 48-hour window that you'll get that card available, but if it's been like a week or two and you don't have it, let us know and we can ask IT what's going on. But anyways, you'll log in and it'll bring you right to the homepage of the housing portal. If you haven't explored it, go ahead. Every year we kind of do a new theme and a new change to like the way it looks. So this is the new layout for the next year. All of these are links, so you can go ahead, click through them. They do a bunch of really cool things. But we're going to focus right now on just the applications because that is what we care about. So Step one is going to be choosing your application. We do have multiple applications open, so make sure you're picking the correct one. That'll be my first kind of warning for folks. We also link if you want more information over here, click one of these images and it will bring you up to them. But our summer housing is live, so if you accidentally apply for summer, let us know and we will remove that. But you want the 26, 27 housing. Um, and that is going to be what you do. Save and continue. It's going to bring you to a little welcome screen. I'm not going to read it just because you all don't need to waste time reading through that. But it's kind of like a little welcome just from us saying like this is the process and kind of what to expect. And this is the first step. So the first part of the application is going to be the same for returning and new folks, and it's going through a lot of personal details, emergency contacts, photos, profiles, some agreement signing, as well as ESA agreement information. We'll also have some information coming soon about living learning communities. So we're going to roll out some living learning communities for next year. So that will be in here as well. Stay tuned. We'll send out some emails pretty quickly. I'd say within the next week or so about what these living learning communities are and what we're going to offer for next year. But it's definitely a very exciting new thing that we're rolling out for 26, 27. Ooh, we do not want computer sounds. Um, So as you go through here, this is the first page, pretty easy. What name do you want us to use when addressing you? Please put, if you don't have a nickname or you want to use your first name, please put your first name. I see a ton of folks who write NA. And then every time we email you, it's going to say Dear NA on it. So, if you don't have a nickname, just write your name. But whatever you put is what you're going to get emailed probably hundreds of times over the course of the semester. So, just be aware that that's what we're going to use for your emails and for your door decorations. Um, how you identify your gender, you can write that in. It's an open, a personal email and a cell phone. We don't intend to use these very often. It's really in case of emergency, we need to, reach you outside of your FIT email. We can do that. It's just good information for us to have in case we ever need an additional contact information. And then we link chosen name and some information about last names if you are curious about how those work. So we're going to save and continue. And she's going to think for a minute. And then we're going to go to emergency contact. So this is an emergency contact for you. If you live, far away, like California, Alaska, and you have an emergency contact who's closer, like within like 2 or 3 hours, and you can list them, we prefer that. Obviously, if you're from Alaska and you don't have anybody like family-wise in New York, that's fine. Just put an emergency contact that we can get a hold of in case of an emergency. But this will be their information, so you know their name, their best email, phone number, their address, so forth, so on. Pretty quick. And then a photo of you. Our system's a little wonky in this case that we only allowed 200,000 byte photos. That's pretty small for folks who know what that means. So we do have a link to an image reducer. If it's not letting you upload your photo, try making it a little bit smaller. I also have seen people use ChatGPT and just say, hey, make this photo 200,000 bytes, and it should pop out the photo for you. Um, it also does not take live iPhone photos, so if you have a live photo, that's probably going to get rejected too. If you're a returner, all this information should hopefully already be there and you won't have to worry about going through it. You can just do what I'm doing and keep saving and continue and going through it pretty quickly. This is your roommate profile. So if anybody's ever seen like a dating app like Match.com, this is very similar. That's what I reference it as. Um, so at the bottom, it's got a bunch of like roommate preferences. So this will be about you. Um, Note, be as honest and truthful as you can be. This is not gonna like we're not gonna judge any of these answers. We don't really use these unless we're trying to like help you pick a roommate. But the more honest you are, the better chance of getting someone who's compatible with you. If you're like, oh, I think I should be going to bed at 10, but in reality I'm gonna go at 2, and you put 10, it means you're not setting yourself up for the best roommate experience possible. Um, So just go through them, try and answer them to the best of your ability. And I really want to call attention to these two because these are going to be important. So this bottom one is, are you comfortable with an emotional support animal? So we ask that in case, if someone that you're going to get paired with has an emotional support animal, we can either kind of prevent that, or like if you're like, cool, yeah, please give me an animal with, my roommate with a ESA. This helps us to kind of figure out, do you have an allergy to an animal? Do you have like a fear of an animal that we shouldn't be including in your room when we're doing your assignments, or if we're, filling a vacant space? So caveat to this, if you don't want any type of animal, please put no. Like some people are like, oh, I'm, a huge dog lover, but I'm allergic to cats. We don't differentiate when we're doing these placements with what ESAs are being placed. So if you're like no to any of these animals, I would suggest you put no. Including like snake, we do have like, ESA snakes, we have fish, birds. So just be aware of that. The other one is, are you comfortable with a person of any gender as a roommate? This is our gender inclusive housing question. So this comes with, again, a little bit of a caveat. Answer this question as if, so if you have a roommate in mind, answer this question as if your roommate were to leave, what would you want us, what gender roommate would you want us to place in the room? So like if I want to live with Angela, but if Angela leaves my room because she goes abroad for spring semester and I only want, another male roommate, I would put no here. Um, if I, was like, I had Angela as my roommate, Angela goes abroad, and then I'm like, I don't care if I get a female, male, non-gender conforming person, I could put yes, and that way anybody would get placed in that room. So just make sure that you're not going based off roommate. It will not impact your roommate matching process at all. And you can also always go in and change these at any time throughout the year. So I'll show you how to do that in a little bit too. So if you press yes and you're like, oh, you know what, I want to go with a no, you can still do that before we even start the selection process. So it's always a very fluid answering, which is great. But we'll move on. This is kind of the first signing you have. So basically, even if you put, I'm not comfortable with an ESA, we still just want everybody to read through this and make sure that they understand what's going on with it. Basically, it says, if you have an ESA and there's something going on where your roommate's ESA is not working, you'll let us know, and then we can help you to troubleshoot that, and we can talk with the person and reach out to our Fitable office who helps us to approve these and kind of get the ball rolling. So that is what it says in like the nitty-gritty version. But you will use your student ID to sign it, um, and then it'll let you go on to the next one. So next, and actually last part of this application is the housing agreement. So the housing agreement is posted, it is live. We'll send an email to folks with it probably tomorrow, as well as our new rates for next year. It has a little video. This again is on our YouTube channel, like a 5-minute video that kind of highlights the really important parts of the agreement, although I strongly, strongly encourage you all to read it in its full before you sign anything. It is a legally binding agreement, not necessarily as binding as a lease, but it's definitely something that you should be knowing what you're signing. So go ahead, read through it. The nice thing about this application is as long as you apply between May 27th and June 10th or 14th, depending on your status as a student, you have equal chance of getting housing. It is not first come, first serve. You do not need to rush through this at 12:01 because makes no difference if you apply 12:01 on the 27th or if you apply like 11:59 on the 9th. Um, they both get equal chance. So don't feel pressure. Take as much time as you want before you sign it. Once you do this signature and press submit, you are agreeing to all the terms, including all of the withdrawal terms and penalties. So again, make sure that you're reading what you're signing. But once you do that, you have officially completed your housing application. That is the final step. Everything past here is going to be kind of extra. So once you see this screen, you have completed what you need to do. And if you did nothing else, you would still be in the process. It'll also email you and let you know, hey, you're good to go, so you'll get that confirmation as well. We'll start with the new students, and then I'll walk you through the returners because they're a little bit different in the way that they work. So we'll start with the new folks. Um, if you get to this screen and you are not in the correct classification, so if you're like, I have never, this is my first year at FIT and it's saying like returner, let us know. Or if you're like returning and it's trying to bring you down to new student, again, let us know. It's based off credits and your classification. So sometimes our transfer students, if you transfer in like 20 credits, so probably try and bump you into returner. Sometimes our transfer students like that. Kaufman does have, kitchens and apartments and is a lot more of our upper class students. So if you are a transfer and you want to go to Kaufman, feel free to go through the returner selection, but totally up to you as a returner, kind of what, or as a transfer student, what process you want to partake in. Okay, dokes. Here we go. Roommates. This is probably what most of you are looking for. The roommate process has not really changed. So if you're a returning student and you went through this, it should look pretty similar, hopefully, for you all. But this is where I see most folks kind of make a minor mistake that then impacts the rest of their housing process. So um, I will kind of walk you through the whole process here. You can search by roommates for two ways. I will also say you don't need to have a roommate to go through this process. If you want to skip this and just sign up for housing, pick a bed in a room and call it a day, you are welcome to do that. You don't have to fill a room. So if you have a group of three and you want to go to, live in a quad, you can pick three beds. Just know that fourth bed's going to be taken by somebody random. Um, so this is purely optional for both returning and new folks. You do not have to do it, but if you want it, it is here for you. So the first thing is search for roommates by details. And this would be my recommendation if you know someone that you want to live with, you can, search for them by their name, by their description, probably by their name is your easiest. There we go. So like also make sure that you know whatever name they're using. So you know it's like Angela uses Angie in this. So when I typed in Angela, it didn't work. If you're not showing them, try using only a couple letters. It will pop up anyone who kind of matches. So you'll notice this will pop up anyone who fits that profile. So anyone with the first name ANG is going to pop up. It'll tell you what match you are. So again, all those questions that you had answered, it tells me, hey, like Angela and I are a 67% match. Um, It'll tell the name if they put their name. Some folks like to put their social media links. So like if you have a Facebook link or a Twitter or an Instagram, they'll put that here so you can kind of see like what they're into or their hobbies or what majors they're in. That's totally up to you, not mandatory, but whatever description you put, that will be here. You can view their profile, you can send them a message through the portal, or you can add them to a group. So let's say, like I wanted to add Angela to a group, I would click this and it'll send her a message. Um, so I'll just do that for now so you can kind of see what it says. Now what's going to happen is Angela's going to get a email that says, hey, like Adam's requested you. She'll also get a little button right here. They'll pop up and it'll show her. So I haven't read any of my messages, but hopefully you have. And it'll have like a little one right there. And then she'll go in and she will accept it. And when she does, that will go from outgoing to part of the group. So she'll move up here with me. Um, do. Once she confirms, and this is, I'm going to say, probably the most important thing that you want to do for roommates. Once your entire group has confirmed they're in, you want to go to verify. It has this big red thing saying unverified here. You want to verify your group. And then it says verified, you're good. Verification is the final step that tells us this roommate group has acknowledged they want to live together and will be placed together. For first years, this will let us know you want to be placed together. if you're a returner and your group is not verified, when you go in to select your room, it will not take unverified roommates with you. I cannot tell you the amount of emails and calls we get during selection of, I forgot to verify my group. I picked a room. My roommate doesn't have a space. Please help me put them in the bed. Sometimes we can do it. Sometimes that bed's been taken and we unfortunately can't. So you always want to do verified. If nothing else from this session, remember verified. It will save you a massive headache when you're trying to bring your roommates with you. The other caveat to know, anytime you make a change, it will unverify. So like if I change the name of my roommate group to whatever I wanted, you'll notice. So if I didn't change it, it doesn't do it. But when I change it and press save group, it wants multiple letters. It unverifies. So I'd have to go back in and re-verify it. Same thing if I, verified it and before Angela pressed accept and now Angela presses accept, it's gonna unverify it again, right? Because it's like, hey, something's changed in your group. Make sure that you know what's changed before you go forward with it. So that is roommates in a nutshell. If you don't have someone that you particularly looking for and you just want to go based off like who's most compatible with me, you can actually use any of these answers to search for roommates. So let's say that like I do have an ESA, so I want someone who's comfortable with one. I do want someone who is gender inclusive, and I really, really want someone who wakes up early. I can click any amount of these and then do search, and it's going to give me anyone who's there. Angela's already in my group, so it's not going to show her up, and her and I are the only two in this process right now. But it would give you everybody listed out in order of their matches. So like the first person who's 99% down to like the person who's like a 2% match, and it'll list them in order so you can go through, message, look through their profiles and whatnot, and potentially find roommates this way. Again, totally optional if you want to, you do not have to. Let's go back to manage my group, and we are good to go. Um, if I didn't want Angela anymore, I could cancel her request. If she's in here, I can remove her from the group if I'm the leader, or she can choose to leave if she's the leader. Or if she's just a member, she can choose to leave. If you're the leader of the group, you can remove and add people. And then save and continue. So again, this is for our first year students. This will not be relevant for our returning folks. Because we're doing placements, we want to know what are your room preferences. So you're going to go in, you're going to click the locations, and you're going to type in what kind of room you want. And you need to add at least 3 of them. You can add up to 5 of them. So it's up to you. I suggest if you haven't, go through and look through our buildings. They're all different, especially our 27th Street buildings, which is Alumni Co-ed Nagler. Nagler doesn't have AC, for instance. Alumni has all kitchens and apartments and quads. So definitely take a moment to look through the buildings. I believe, if I'm not wrong, they should hopefully be linked down in here. And you can kind of take a look at what our buildings are. We also spell them out in here. So if you're a new person and you're like, I have no idea what room this is, they're all listed here with where they are. So that way you can know what you're asking for before you go in and just randomly say, I want this room. Um, and then once you do a third, it will let you continue. And once you press save and continue, you are done. So you have completed all the steps you would need to complete. Again, if you don't add these, we will just assign you to whatever option is available. Our goal is to get everybody's at least top 3 rooms for first years. We'll see if we can make it work, but normally we can get everybody at least their top 2, if not top 3 room type preferences. Uh, do. So let's go back. I am going to quickly make a change to my profile so I can show you what it looks like when it's a returning student. I apologize, bear with me for 2 minutes. Ba-dum, bum, bum. Okay. You awesome. Okay, great. It's popped me over. So now let's go back in applications. The other nice thing is once you complete those steps, you can always go back into your application and it will skip that first kind of personal information section, just so that way you don't have to worry about redoing all of the photo and everything like that. It'll automatically bring you right to your page. So you'll see now this is the returning student page. It looks a little bit different, not too much. Um, if you want to calculate your selection number, we actually provide you with the math that we do to use the math that we use to make your numbers. So you actually can figure out what number you would potentially have. We also include both the links to Housing Overflow and the application fees, so you can review those. But basically, I'll run through this quickly for you all. 40% of your selection number is going to be based on your cumulative credits. So if you are like a senior, and you have like 110 credits, you're obviously going to have a higher selection number. Um, your most recent spring semester credits. So if you are full-time student status for spring, that will give you the most credits. If you are part-time status, that's going to give you a little bit less of a bump in that score, but that's only 15%. Your campus residency is 15% as well. So if you lived with us for a full year, you get 3 points. If you lived with us for a semester, you get 1.5. If you were a study abroad or an internal or a transfer in for the spring, we count that as a full year because you were still either affiliated with FIT or new to us. We would give you that 3 points. Um, and then the last part, which is only 30%, is your home state or country. So we assign points based on distance from campus. So tri-state 1, non-tri-state, Eastern time zone. It's all based on your time zone. So Central, Mountain, Pacific, and then foreign country, Alaska, Hawaii, are up to 6. And then we do a little kind of calculation example down here. If you're not a math person, no worries. We will do this for you and send out both your number and what that number means in terms of your time spot. Um, but if students want to kind of double check it and say like, oh, this makes sense, they can always you can double check our math by going through and kind of using this formula here. Do, do, do. Same thing for you all, roommate groups. I'm not going to go through that again because you've already seen it once, so I'm not going to make you go through a whole another spiel. One of the things I do, which I will try and show you all, we'll see if I can make it work, is kind of what the room selection process will look like. So bear with me. I'm going to use another portal to show you what this will look like. So that way, if you are curious what it's going to look like to get in, once you're actually in, we can do that. Ooh, okay, ignore this for 2 seconds. Okay, here we go. So for our returning folks, this is what your selection will actually look like. So I want to preference that before selection opens, so before the 22nd, you won't be able to see this page. It's going to bring you to like a waiting page. After the 22nd, when we start the actual process, this will become available. So if you go in on like the 28th of May and you can't see this, that's a good thing. It means that it's not open yet. But the first step is going to be initial selection. So all of the room types will be listed out. There'll be obviously more. This is for our summer folks, but like let's say that I wanted a double apartment, we could click select and it's going to go in and it's going to give me all the different options that we have. So you'll be able to see the room numbers, how many beds are available. So you'll see like a little 2 beds here. If any of them are taken like a half space, you'll only see like a one bed. If it's like a quad, you could see up to 3 or 4 beds, depending on how that works. Um, and then you would just go to add to cart, and it's gonna want you to, it's gonna make you assign beds because it's only me in this roommate group. It's not gonna make me do it, but it would go to like an assigned bed. That's a really good kind of fail safe to make sure your roommates are with you. If it's not having you assign your roommates beds, you didn't bring them with you. So don't press continue. You want to make sure that you assign all of your roommates in your group's beds before you press next. If it's not doing that for you, go back, make sure your group is verified, and then call us on selection day. Because once you press save and continue and go forward with it, you book that room and it is yours. And if there's somebody else in that bed, the other bed, we may end up missing or not being able to place a roommate with you. So just be aware of that. That is kind of the important fail-safe, the last kind of fail-safe you have. It gives you a little like shopping cart. So once you click on that room, you have 10 minutes to move forward. So even if you're like, I want to verify it, go ahead. It'll give you and hold that space for you for 10 minutes before it makes you go back and restart the whole thing again. But that's pretty much it. You can keep going back, even if you want to, and like, hey, I want to look through all the singles. You can use these over here to kind of figure out like what you're looking for. It'll list out all the locations that are available for you. So all of this is going to be what your selection day actually looks like. Uh, do. One of the things for our returning folks that I want to remind you about, hopefully, this is the same as last year for you. If you confirm your roommate group before that June 10th deadline, everybody in your roommate group will get the same selection number and time spot based on whoever in your group has the best one. Um, so let me explain a little bit further because I know that's a big sentence. Let's say Angela and I are a roommate group, we confirm by June 10th. When I go in and do the calculations for all of your numbers, I'm going to say, hey, okay, Angela and Adam have the same roommate group. Angela's time was 9:02 on the 22nd. Adam's time was 1 p.m. Because they're confirmed together, both of them will get 9:02 a.m. And that's how that works. We do that because only one person in your roommate group picks the room. So that way, if like your group leader or the person with the best number is like working or in their internship and they can't go pick the room at 9:02, anyone in that group can go pick for them. If you don't confirm your roommate group before the 10th, that's okay. You can still confirm your group afterwards. You can still make changes to them. It just means you have to be aware of who has the best time and number because that person has to go in and pick. Um, like let's say Angela and I didn't confirm. It was 9:02 a.m. Angela's working. She can't go in. I can't go in and select the room for us until 1 o'clock when my time is up. So just be aware of that. Um, it's better to do groups up to before the 10th if you don't make that deadline. Not a huge deal. You can change your roommate groups up until you pick a room. So like if it's, your time to pick and you are like, oh, we need to change our roommate group, you can actually go back, change it, and then pick a room right then and there. So you always have that flexibility, but just know that the earlier you confirm, the better, or the earlier you verify, the better for you. And yeah, that is kind of the nitty-gritty of the application. I believe there's been some questions, so I am going to kind of run through these and let me expand it. Hopefully I get through most folks. If we don't get to your question, um, you're welcome to shoot us an email, just residentiallife@fitnyc.edu, and we can answer it. Also, if you don't have a question and you just want to kind of pop off, you are welcome to. Thank you so much for sticking with me for 45 minutes of me talking at you. Hopefully this gave you some answers or kind of quelled some nerves about selection. But let me start going through these. I'm just going to start from the bottom and work my way up. Um, Yes, that's a great question. So John asked about selection number. You only get selection numbers once you have applied. So if you have not applied by the 10th, no selection number for you. Um, Anybody who applies after those cutoff dates go into our post-selection process, which we start on the 25th of June. And that basically means you're kind of on the wait list, the post-selection process, and we'll start kind of a rolling aggressive placements basically the day after selection. So if you don't get that application and sign the agreement by your deadline, that's kind of what you get bumped into. The prices for next year are live. Let me show you. So if you go to Residential Life, go to our webpage, current residents, and then I use this, go down to rates. These are our rates for next year. We have both fall and spring semesters as well as winter, since winter is already published. And then we did do a little bit of changes to these guys, not too much, but just take a look at them. And then the personal property insurance is still mandatory for everybody. And it's linked under the current resident if you want to know what that entails. You can scroll down here and it's right here. Just click this guy. Um, yeah, that was a good question. Yes, let me post these two links for you. So this is our returning guide for folks who are returners and want the guide. And then this is our new guide for anybody who's a new student. Great. Thank you for reminding me. Let me also go into so the move-in times. I know that's probably something that I mentioned and didn't get into. So let me go into that. Let's go home. So for folks who are new to the portal or just need a refresher, my profile, this is where you can edit your information about what name you want us to use. And then these are all the preferences that we went over. Like I said, you can change these as many times as you want. Also, once you pick your room, it's going to show you these are all the rooms. So it'll tell you your current room, upcoming room, it will be upcoming. And then anybody who's associated with your room will pop up here as well as their emails. So you'll know instantly, like you want to double check that I picked the right room. It should show up live time right here for you. For move-in times, you want to go to guides and links, and it's going to bring you to our quick link page, which has a ton of quick links, including, how to request an ESA, how to request housing accommodation. But we want to go to uh, housing operations, save and continue, moving in and out information, and then select your building. So it's building dependent. So let's say Kaufman Hall, this is the biggest of them all, and it tells you what rooms and what day. So floor 15, rooms 1532 through 1518, move in on Sunday between 8:30 and 9:30 a.m. And it goes all the way down every single room every single day. So you would know in advance whatever room you pick, this is your day and your time. Same thing for any of the buildings, co-ed hall, 15th floor. If you're one of the D, F, J, K, or L apartments, you move in Saturday between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. So that is where you find all the move-in information. It is there. It is live. It does not change. For folks who have been through move-in, it is a very busy but well-oiled machine. So it goes, and we do these time slots so that way people don't overpopulate our parking and our lines. And we used to not do these, and when we did that, we had lines 5 or 6 blocks down the street. So that's why we do these now. Let's see. Okie dokes. Do. Selection numbers only given. Yes, wonderful. Yes, pricing. Hopefully you all got that. Selection number is based off the highest number in the group, correct? As long as the group is confirmed prior to June 10th. If it's after June 10th, it is not. For our new students, we anticipate being able to house all of our new students. So we're not really doing a lottery. We're going to basically base it on who can we get into the rooms they want. So we'll use your top three preferences. Obviously we'll try and get everybody into their top one or two. But we're anticipating not having to kind of do a lottery for the first years. So we're anticipating getting everybody into a room who wants one as a first year student. Um, is Selection Day like Ticketmaster? Yeah, it's kind of like Ticketmaster. You do have a couple minutes. You can always go in and pick, you know, you can take your time picking a room. Um, just know the more time you take, if you want a single, for instance, singles are gonna go quick. If you're just looking for a double in Kaufman, those stay open almost all day long. So it really kind of depends on what you're looking for. Kaufman only has 15 quad apartments. So if you're going for a quad, I always tell people have a backup plan, because those do tend to go pretty quickly. But up to you. Once it opens on the 22nd at 9 a.m., you can go and see what rooms are available. You just can't move forward picking one until your time spot. So you'll be able to kind of monitor in live time, like, okay, there's 8 quads left. Okay, there's only 2 quads left. Okay, like there's 1 quad and we still have an hour to pick. We should split up our roommate group into 2 doubles and just live next to each other, so forth, so on. Um, do. Let me see. We are doing well. Ooh, this is a good one. Thank you. Lydia, bed sizes. I always forget this question. If you are in Nagler alumni or co-ed, so one of the 27th Street buildings, you will all have twin XL beds this year. Co-ed is our last 27th Street building and it's getting brand new furniture this year to match Nagler and alumni who were upgraded the last 2 years. Kaufman will be not this summer, but the following summer. So if you're in Kaufman, you're still in the twin sized for now. Hopefully next summer we're going to get you all into the XLs with the new maple furniture to replace kind of the older stuff that we have in the buildings now. But 27th Street, twin XLs. Good question. Um, do. Living learning communities. Oh, good. Thanks, Ashley. So there's a question about living learning communities. Again, we'll send out some more information shortly, but we're going to do a wellness theme in co-ed hall, which will be open for our first year students. So, but based on kind of like wellness for the year. Uh, will we gain access to the Kaufman floor plan? Yes. So, like I said, we list all the room types. I believe the returning guide, this is actually a great question. So we always try to list out, sorry, I'm scrolling really fast, y'all. Um, so we list out room options. Once we are closer to selection day, we'll tell you exactly where all of these rooms are. So we'll list out like, random 217, 317, 417 next to here. So you'll know exactly which rooms are open. And we'll tell you where each one is. So that way you're not trying to scramble the day of and be like, I don't know if this is a triple or a single or a double or what it is. Um, yeah, that's a good question. We will definitely put that probably closer to like I'd say June 20th or so, for people. And also I do believe it says yes. So Kaufman's a little weird for folks who are going to be first years in like their first year into Kaufman. Um, It's a big building. It fits the entire size of 27th in it. So we do list out kind of a way to do it. So if you know Kaufman at all, even rooms face the back of the building, odd rooms face the front of the building, which is like the Eugene and that really tall glass building. If you're a lower number of rooms, so like 200, 201, 202, you're going closer to like the Hudson Yards, the like that side of things. And if you're a high number, like the 33, 31s, you're going to be closer to the Moynihan train station side of the building. So that kind of helps orient you on what you're looking at for rooms. That would tell you. So like if you're going for, I don't know, let's say 227, you're going to be facing Eugene closer to Moynihan. So forth, so on. And the rooms go from 0, 0 up into the 33 per floor. So like 233, 333, 433 is the highest numbers that we have for that, for Kaufman. Kaufman only. That's a good question. Do. Tours. Actually, that's a good. So I know a lot of folks looking at tours. We are unfortunately doing this a little bit later in the year for a couple of reasons. I won't get into that, but I will tell you there are some virtual tours that you can look at. So when you go to our website, depending on what your classification is, so if you're a current student, go to housing selection and then go to Kaufman Hall. Again, this is where you can kind of look at what we have in terms of our amenities. So it gives you like, Kaufman has an AC, has a fitness center, has cyber lounge with Macs and printers, it has a lounge, and the mailroom is inside the building. Um, it talks a little bit about like security access, mobility access, and then it also gives you opportunity to tour apartments. So if you were to click here, each of the buildings has these. If you are I'll tour that in a second. I just want to show you the other buildings. If you're a new student, your easiest way to go is future residents, and then go to our residence halls and click, and you can go into one of these guys, and that's how you can kind of tour these ones. Let me show you Kaufman because she's got kind of the most housing selection, Kaufman Hall. 'Cause these are always some secrets that people don't realize until I can show them out. But it'll give you a couple different options to look at Kaufman. So it starts like a dollhouse view is what it's called. Um, so if you wanted to do like that view, you can come here and kind of scroll in and out and look at it. If you want to like walk through it per se, all these little circles down here are places you can like stand and kind of spin around. So if you hold your mouse, you can spin, see what it looks like. Um, and kind of see the differences. This is what a quad apartment looks like. So I can go into the bedroom here and like say, okay, this is what the double looks like. Um, the other thing that you can do is if you're like, I need to know how much space is underneath my bed. You can do measurements. And if you click here, uh, let's do addition. So if you were to click here up to here, it tells you what the height of that would be, right? So the beds are about 2 feet between top and bottom. If you wanted to know what is the width of my desk, will it fit my computer and my printer? You click here, and it'll tell you, okay, cool, that's, 4 feet by 2.6 feet. Um, and that's how you can kind of go in and look through and like measure it if you want to measure it to know if your stuff's going to fit in. So like I said, each of our rooms have these. You can go into the bathroom, kind of take a look at what the bathroom looks like. The quads have dual sinks in them, kind of a separate toilet and shower space. So definitely take a look at those if you haven't utilized it yet. I think Alumni and Nagler still have our older furniture. So just be mindful that that's the old furniture. The new stuff is unfortunately newer than the videos are. So just because it's been the last year that we've upgraded them. But yeah, that's a great question. Um, Mindfully about 5 more minutes. So let's see if I can pull up anything else that was big. Do. Can you create the roommate profile prior to May 27th? No, unfortunately, you can't do roommate profiles until after you complete your application. So you have to do the application first, then roommates, and then either room preferences or selecting the bed on the 22nd if you're a returning student. Single rooms, I'm sure people have asked about these, so I might as well talk about them. We do have a limited number of singles. If you need an accommodation for a single, that is through our fittable office. That process takes about a month. So I would say if you need a single and you want to request that, it's not a guaranteed approval, but I would apply probably within the next day or two, just because, again, it can take a couple of weeks. They're pretty busy with the requests right now, but it requires documentation. It requires a meeting with them, so it's not just a simple one and done. We always get a couple of folks who apply afterwards. We don't kick students out of rooms, so if you want a single and you apply in August and the singles are full, you go on the waiting list for a single. We don't kick someone out of their space to give you that single. So if you need it medically, definitely go ahead, do the application process, but just know like you're cutting it a little bit close if you go past like May 15th in terms of applying. If you need a religious accommodation, that would be through our Dean of Students office. So you would email the Dean of Students, just let them know what the accommodation is and why. and they can try and work with us to see if they can make that work. So just know. And I think somebody, yes, thank you, Angela, put the Fitable information in there. It's also in the guides, I believe. Where's my mouse? There you are. So if you're looking at the guides, it should give you pretty much up at the top how to do the requests. So it links you right to the form and kind of gives you what the PDFs would look like so you would know what you're getting into when you apply for it. Um, Same thing with emotional support animals. We don't really have a deadline for those, thankfully. So, if you need to register an ESA and it's August, you can do so. Just know you can't bring an emotional support animal until it's been approved by Fitable. So if you show up on, move-in day and you haven't completed that process, we're going to turn that animal away. So just make sure that you go through all the steps and get it all set to go before you bring it to campus. Let's see, down at the bottom, anything else? Great question. Are prices per semester or per year? The prices are per semester. So you'll notice the only thing that's not per semester is the insurance because that is an annual fee. Um, but all the other rates, I shouldn't have logged off of that. I'm sorry, y'all. Are per semester. Do. Meal plans are also something to consider, especially if you're a first year student. Kaufman folks, you all get defaulted to the declining balance only plans. You can go up to a different plan, but we default you to that one. If you're a first year student, your plan depends on your room type. So lower plans for our apartment styles because they have kitchens. Our traditional styles, like in co-ed, for instance, that's going to have a higher meal plan because you don't have a kitchen. So we need to offer you, obviously, a place to eat every day. Um, your meal plans, you can click on this link. It's going to bring you to FIT's dining services. They hopefully will have their prices updated, I'd say probably within the next week or two. Um, and you can kind of see what those look like. But if you're curious, you can go through and look at them now. We have the Fashionista, we have the ability to add on dining dollars and so forth, so on. So you can kind of look through what your meal plan options would be. Generally, I think it's like a 3% increase. So if you wanted to do the math and do 3% of 28.90, that's what it would be next year, is what I think the college and Aramark decided for 26, 27. But don't quote me on that. It could be a percentage or two off. Um, Will this recording be available? Yes, it should be uploaded to our YouTube channel, hopefully, probably tomorrow afternoon. So keep an eye out for it. If you don't know what our YouTube channel is, it's linked in almost all of our emails and that little YouTube button. But I also believe it is not this account, it is this one. Um, this guy here. So it'll be FIT operations. At FIT Housing Operations. Really original, I know. Um, so it's got a bunch of things, how to find, visitors. It's got work order information. So, but there should be hopefully a playlist that we'll create for 26, 27. You'll see, yeah, we have a playlist for 26, 27 housing selection, and it'll come right in here. Actually, I should just link this for you all. That would make your lives easier, wouldn't it? If you want to subscribe, feel free, no obligations, but this is where we do post most of our kind of informational sessions. It's mostly me talking, so I apologize. Nothing super fun here. Um, Oh, good question about meal plans. If you don't use your meal plans or you need a meal plan accommodation, meal plan accommodations will go through our dietitian first. So her email is linked on the Fitable page. And then Fitable also can sometimes work with like severe allergies. But generally they'll do like a variety of different things. Sometimes they'll do like grocery deliveries for folks instead of meal plans. So if you have a accommodation in terms of your dietary needs, definitely reach out to them. Fitable, the same thing. No really deadline for that, which is great. Um, if you don't use your meal plans, if you don't use your meal swipes, which is like one meal, those are kind of lost at the end of the semester. So I think like the Fashionista gets 400 swipes per semester. If you only use 100 of them, you forfeit those 300. You also get like a declining balance, which is basically kind of like flex dollars, if you will. Those roll over from fall to spring. So if you have the Fashionista plan, you know, use those 400 swipes first because you lose them, and then whatever money you get from your flex spending will get rolled over. And that's available at like the FIT Express shop, the new little cafe inside our new Joyce Brown building, and the Starbucks on campus also takes those flex dollars as well. So you can use those. Nagler. Does Nagler and co-ed traditionals do not have private bathrooms. Those are shared communal spaces. We do have a couple apartments, like 10 apartments in Nagler. Those do have private bathrooms. Basically, anything with the apartment style as a bathroom, anything that's a traditional style is a shared bathroom space. Um, Kaufman plans are, you're going to get defaulted to the declining balance plan, which I should know. This year it's 525. It'll go up a little bit. I think it's 575 or 600 next year, but that'll be the plan that we will default you to for Kaufman. And that's regardless of your room type that everybody in Kaufman is put on that declining. Um, there are other meal plans that you can definitely pick in Kaufman. We have I think it's a 75 block plan, you have the designer plan, and you have the fashionista. So Kaufman, you get access to whatever plan you want, which is kind of a nice perk of being a returner for us. Um, yes, this is a great question. So let's say I'm going for a quad and I'm confirmed group of four and I don't get my quad. What happens? You can break up your roommate group and you can break up. We generally say have a backup plan. So we tell all the quads, especially if you're going to Kaufman, know in advance if you have to split into two groups of two who you want to split. So when you went through that process, let's see if I'm still in that process. Um, I might be able to show you. No, she logged me out. But anyways, once you're in that process, so like when I showed you that home screen, you can actually like remove two people and split that group in half. So it will let you split that group of four into two groups of two or like a three and a one, whatever you want to do with it. Um, you actually can also, I'll give you this little secret. So this is a good a good little nugget of information for those who stayed with us. Um, if you split up, if you're a quad and you split up into two groups of two, one person can actually still assign both groups. So even if you're two different groups, one person can still go in and make that assignment. So, um, but just be aware of that, like have a backup plan. Hopefully you get the quad, hopefully it all works out, but if you don't, just make sure you know like which two pairs want to live together. Um, and then I'll go with Okay, two more questions, and then we will go because I know we're over time and I don't want to waste your entire Thursday night. Um, so if you're a new student transferring in, can you live with returning students in triples? Shoot us an email. It may already have you classified if you're transferring in, but if not, we can double check it and see. There's a chance, generally, we let our transfers decide between Kaufman alumni, so there's a good chance that you could go live with two returners if you wanted to. Just let us know before June 10th so we can get you in that group and confirmed. Um, your selection numbers will come out by 3 p.m. on June 11th. So, as long as you do everything you need to do by June 11th, you'll get that selection number. And it'll just be in an email to you. And that is the good. Thank you, Angela, for the meal plan stuff. It is 575. Okay, cool. Do. Yes, correct. Selection numbers are only for our returning students only. New students, you just give us your top between three and five room types, and we will make that assignment for you. So a little bit less stressful. We'll do the hard part for you, and put you where you are hopefully looking to go. Um, Okie dokes. So, like I said, this will be available for folks to come back and reference. If you had a question and we didn't get to it, I apologize. Please shoot us an email, or give us a call tomorrow. We're open 9 to 5, or if you're on campus, stop by. Um, we'd be happy to answer them. I know that there's a lot of questions, and this process is a big process. But we are here. We will be here all the days of selection. So, like I said, if you have any questions, call us. It's always better to ask and verify before pressing complete your application or complete your room assignment than trying to go back and change it once it is solidified. So, um, you were all very welcome. Again, thank you for spending Thursday night with me. I know this was not the most riveting use of your time, but hopefully it was useful for you all. I will see all of you, if not on campus, at Move-In Day, and we will talk with you soon. Have a wonderful rest of your night. You are all very, very welcome. Okie doke, so let's stop recording. Wonderful.